All right, here we are today. It's Centennial Park. Sponsored by the Long Peaks Disc Golf Club. Played against sports. The local one is really pretty involved here. I see the course, some of the distances. Just a little small night. Longmont doesn't have a full 18 course. They just have 3 9-holes, one of which is in a little school. Hopefully this doesn't sound too bad. I tend to pull high, so you might get a lot of disc whipping today. But we're gonna get out here and we're gonna play it. Since it's only 9 holes, if they ever play in a tournament, usually they have some temp baskets and some long locations. They use a lot of the sidewalks for OB. But I'm gonna just take you kind of through a quick 9 and we'll see how we do. All right, hole 1, we got over here. It's a pretty long hole. It's actually in kind of a long position. It looks like it might be in D. It's way back, if you can see it. So it's actually back up between the fences, way back there. A lot of times this tree will play as a OB or a Mando left. This thing sits on a little bit of a hill. There's something weird about this stream. It seems to always suck discs down there. But if you try to push it too hard, straight, or too overstable, you can get stuck in those pine trees without an angle or over the baseball field. So I'm gonna try to go fairly stable here. Just a slight turn. I'm working on a little bit new form. I kind of shortened up my steps here. Oh. That was crazy. That violent kick right. Did you see that? Wow, that was... Told you this. I told you this water is a magnet. Okay, since that's first throw, that kick was insane off of that little tree. I don't even know if I'll be able to get that, but... All right, we're gonna throw a second one just because I don't know if that's retrievable. I don't have a retriever with me, so let's see if we can get one out there. That's much better. A little less conservative. I can get it out there. I think I blocked it. I don't think you could see it, but somehow I hit that little tree and shot directly sideways and skipped over the protector. And the river, it's not very deep, but it's pretty deep right now. It's deeper than normal. It's about probably a good 3-4 feet right now. And I can't see it at all. So this little small stream has claimed so many a disc. It's insane. And I was really starting to like that disc too. Although they usually trawl this river, so not a bad spot. So anyway, we'll just go with the second drive. There can be a basket right here, right where we're at, down here in the corner, and then up and around this fence. So we are kind of actually up around this fence. Actually, this should be a good play for a skip shot, because then I can go a little safer, a little straighter. Nice, a little lower, a little safer, not bad. When it's in this corner, you can kind of hyzer over the river, and if they have no Mando, if you have a really big arm, you can hyzer out here, try to get around those trees. I usually try to bend it to get somewhere near that tree. A lot of tournaments, this will play even further back, like beyond this fence line. Ooh, we parked it. Pretty good play there. Yeah, the nice little skip shot around the corner actually worked out pretty good since I didn't have, the only zone I brought me with was a soft one, wouldn't skip. This is this sake bomb. These baskets are not the best catching baskets. They're kind of notorious for spit outs here. A good old Centennial. You get Centennial. Occasionally, you can still see the circle from the tournament where there was a pin way back up here as a par 4. I think probably still par 4 in that position, considering how hard it is to get up there with the ball field. Now here's hole 2. Occasionally we'll play from back here all the way down there in a tournament play. And you kind of have to throw under that branch and at the river, and you get to fade in. But the normal tee pad is down here. Clarkson Centennial, number 2. This is actually hole A, I think, because this is on the front side of the tree, whereas hole B is on the back side of the tree, and hole C is on the kind of the back right. So this actually plays pretty good for an overstable fairway to try and shoot this gap. If you have a good forehand too, my forehand, I don't think I quite have this forehand distance. So but I'm gonna try a little more aggressive with this felon again here, a little more straight down the tunnel. Kind of working on this new staying on my toes. That's perfect. We parked it again with the felon. Well, that I'm really liking that felon. It's not very overstable. I kind of thought maybe the moonshine orbit, since most of the other ice orbit stuff is very overstable, but the moonshine orbit does not appear to be. It flies more like a Thunderbird, which for me at altitude is kind of a disc I've really been looking for. Even though this is claims to be short, but like I don't think those distances are super accurate because the other one is only a few feet behind it, and the other one's only a few feet right. It can be right next to the bank there. Whereas this one is right here on the front left side. You can see the circle just here for what would have been the position over here on the right, which is about over here somewhere. And then I think there is one that's slightly back of this. So those distances don't seem right to me. That I think this is probably closer to maybe 287. I mean, it's a pretty long shot. And again, there just isn't enough difference to have those differences in there. See, there's the next tee pad, and you're talking inside circle 1. So you're talking about 30 feet or so, maybe most. So, and that was 313. So I think it's closer to like 280 versus what that says. All right, hole 3. Occasionally, they will put a hole that's up in this corner. You'll tee pad, and then you can throw back around the bend for a big long par 4. Kind of a turnover where you have to stay outside of the baseball field, the Mando outside of the poles, but which would basically be shooting from back here around. We are teeing here, and I cannot see it from here. It looks like it's in A. Don't think it's in B. It's definitely not in C. You can see it straight ahead. And I, of course, threw the overstable disc I wanted to throw. So we're gonna go back to the Vass. This is a little more flippier than I would want to throw on this, but I think if we keep it on this kind of slight hyzer, it should kind of flip up. And hopefully it'll hyzer out before it gets to that tree. Nope, that is too flippy. All right, yeah, kind of turning one over. don't quite have the driver in this. I'm gonna have to probably run to my car and get another driver for the one I lost, because that Bass is just not stable enough. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting stuff on hyzer that isn't spike hyzer. I probably actually needed to get that way much more on like a pure hyzer line instead of kind of coming over the top, because we are now not in a very good spot. All right, but we got pretty much easy up and down. I could go Berg here, or I could go Zone OS. Since we're going around the tree, I'm gonna go Zone OS, Jawbreaker, Zone OS. Just kind of spiky it in there. Should stop. All right, a little deep. Even that's starting to straighten out quite a bit. I do like that Jawbreaker zone though. It's Zone OSs, if you haven't thrown them, they're deeper than a normal zone, but they still feel very comfortable to me. And they don't feel like mega overstable, but they seem to be harder you throw them, the more stable they kind of act. They also seem to dump just much harder. They just kind of get to the ground really fast. So it's a different type of fade than a normal zone. See, I kind of expected this to dump a little sooner, but it doesn't seem to dump like straight out of your hand. It seems to, like, the more speed it gets, then it acts more stable. So the harder you throw it, the more overstable it acts. Oh, there goes our putt. All right. That was boog. Now we're coming back here. We come back across the little irrigation stream. You can kind of see it. Like I said, it's not that big. Normally it's only about 2 feet deep. It's running pretty high right now. I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know if there's like a let off if they increase it. But this can be one of the hardest holes on the course, depending on how it's played. Hole 4, there's 2 positions. There's a 300 and a 400. 400 one is kind of insane with this line, but some of the tournaments will play this sidewalk as an OB to the right and beyond. And with the stream on the downhill slope, you pretty much have to land it on this little strip of grass, which is obviously super hard. And this group of people is just sort of sitting right in the middle here where we're going to try to throw. Normal rules, you can just kind of turn it over and you don't really have to worry too much. You just kind of keep it straight under the branches and be safe. But when that sidewalk is OB, even if just the sidewalk itself is hazard, which they play sometimes, it can be a little tricky. But when they play OB right, man, this thing plays really, really hard. But I've got a secret weapon, and I forgot the one for the long hole, thankfully. I think I can get to this hole with the arowana, but I was able to kind of par this by playing conservatively in the tournament by just kind of hyzer flipping this up right down the edge of the sidewalk and letting it just barely creep onto the grass and sitting down. These doesn't turn over too often unless there's a headwind or you throw it really hard and flat. If you give it just a touch of hyzer, it will tend to flip up and hold pretty well, and then just a tiny bit of fade at the end. But you obviously have to throw it with kind of a fan grip. So a lot of people don't really understand how to throw it. But if you can master this disc, the way it sits down is pretty incredible. It's a little high. Yep, got caught in the tree, but just a touch lower, and that actually would have been perfect. Just didn't quite keep it under the canopy, but that would have kind of gone straight down the sidewalk and probably just barely gone a little bit left. My other thought here in this position is to throw the berg really hard. Since the berg is pretty stable, but if you throw it hard enough, it basically just finishes straight. So we'll throw the berg out there just to see what we can do here. Oh no, sit. Okay. But see, that was even a little too inside. But the berg, if you put enough spin on it, it's not going to go super far, but it's probably going to finish straight. Man, I really liked this arowana. But this sets up kind of nice for a soft arowana here. Play the skip up. Let's see if the berg even gave us a look here. I still think it was pretty short. Wow, super leaves. Oh, right here. Buried. But yeah, that didn't even get in the circle. So we didn't really even with the berg, we didn't really get a putt. This is just a hard hole to play. I think the arowana is the play, though, to have a chance with relatively low risk. Because most likely, it's just not going to fade left very much. And if it does, it's going to grab the grass. Now, hole 5. Across the sidewalk looks like 351. On this side of the sidewalk, 321. And there's one way back in the corner. It's hard to see at 390. I really like the 390 position. I actually birdied it in one of the rounds. Flipping a DD through this little tunnel. Actually, you know what? I did bring the river. So I have the Orbit River, which actually should work pretty well for a slight hyzer flip here, especially with the kind of velocity I've been throwing with lately. So a little bit of a hyzer flip here, let it kind of drift low here in the tunnel and scoot up there. Oh, that river isn't stable. Wow, that did not turn over at all. That is kind of surprising. The only other thought here is a hyzer flip hex, because I know I should be able to get it there with the hex. And when the hex didn't really flip much, but man, I liked the distance on it. A lot of kind of good shot shapes for being a weird little park course. They've really kind of put the stuff in some interesting positions so that it's not just easy hyzer, you know? I mean, this isn't that far of a hole, but you can't really hyzer it because of the sidewalk and the trees. Even if you have a massive forehand, you're still kind of having to do a kind of flip up line. So, yeah, they've done a pretty good job. And in a tournament setting, this can kind of funnel here. So this could be OB. So you can't push it too long like we did with the river that didn't flip. This river would be great for the position that's like right here. I think there's a position that's like really right here. And then the other position is right there. This is at least kind of like a look. The hex was actually slightly better. Right outside circle. But we've got a C2 look. Let's see if we can't hit a C2 putt today. Flip plays today. All right. Oh, got the height and the distance. I needed to get that just a touch right. The hex was actually pretty good here. Just outside of C1, so this is 38 footer, a little bit more makeable. Oh, shorted it. Bummer. Yeah, I guess I haven't actually officially tapped out yet. All right, on to the next. Getting into a little bit more of the tree cover. Here's a look back at that hole we just played. Occasionally they can, in 2 holes from now, instead of this pin being here, they'll put a temporary pin either under this tree for a short island hole or way back here, and you play from, I think it's 8's tee, all the way back there is a big par 4. Pretty fun hole. You have to kind of get a nice little turnover. I'll show you, instead of going to this basket, you kind of got to turn it out into the open space to get distance. All right, we're at hole 6. So hole 8 is straightforward. It's kind of in line with this light post here, but back. So if you take the trunk of the tree on the right, it's about, I don't know, 25 maybe back deep of the trunk of that tree. That's where it is usually in a tournament, and they draw an island around it, and you have to make the island. Works really well for forehanders. Backhanders, it's a little trickier because that tree, it's hard to see right now, but that tree is normally very, very full and makes it kind of hard to sneak a backhand in there. But now it's actually kind of on the back right, which I don't know if I've ever played it back here. So I'm actually going to kind of try to flip something up there to the right. I think at this distance, this is probably hex. Almost right at the tree trunk, let it drift just very slightly here. Don't hit the pole. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, that would have parked where the left position is on the island. That's pretty wild. That thing didn't turn as much. Man, in the tournament, I threw that shot and they both drifted right to where that basket is right now. Of course, I throw it here and it just goes and parks the hole I needed back then. Yeah, it's ironic how stuff happens in a tournament. You know, you throw one shot and it does something. I mean, I think we did have a little bit of a headwind coming down this way during that, but my hex never really turns that much on me here at altitude. And that day it just drifted right the entire way and never really fought out of it. We kind of got in between. All right, so there's the pin position you can kind of see. So here's the bough of this tree is kind of right above us, and the island would be about right here. And you see the left pin position here. And so I kind of split the difference in between them. So I got a little bit of a right drift, but I got the distance dead on. Just didn't get all the drift I wanted, but this is pretty good play. It's safe. I'm not disappointed with it. This is actually probably a great play if you could learn, if you could replicate this shot consistently. You could throw this exactly for pretty much for either one, right? You have the same putt for either one, which is kind of nice if it's on a hole where you're trying to perfect a shot. If you can use the shot for multiple locations, not a bad idea. Hey, now we're putting. We got a birdie. Let's go. I feel like they're hard to come by out here. I'll take that. So hole 7. There's a straightforward position at 312. One to the left at 320. Kind of back left is 381. Hole D is 480, which I believe is where it is now, and then hole 5 is 515, which I can only play as a par 4 just because of the way this is, because it is a very hard 515 to access, even if you could throw that far. You've got the hyzer line's pretty much blocked. The big forehand line is kind of blocked as well. You'd have to throw a super laser beam hyzer flip either way and get it to kind of get to this deeper tunnel. And then this is the 480 position. It's in the middle of these giant trees, and then the other one's on that hill slightly behind it. I actually had my best throw of the tournament out here for Lunacy I managed to flip the DD up in the tailwind, and I carried it up over this tree right here in the middle. And I flipped it up, carried it up over this guy, and landed right on the sidewalk. I'll show you the sidewalk when we get up there. It was about probably a 450-foot drive. One of my best drives, probably my best drive in a tournament ever. Pretty insane. Gave me a super easy up and down. I was able to just forehand flip it under the trees up onto the hill. It was in the 515. And take the easy 3. But yeah, this is a pretty challenging line. Like, this is like the perfect hole, I think, if you have a great roller. So I wish I had that DD, but all right, so we'll go with the Bass here. Bass kind of flippy. Flipped a lot on that first throw, so can't hyzer flip it down the tunnel. All right, there's what we're looking for. Yep. Not the furthest drive ever, but that's kind of the line you got to hit to get out there to this long basket. 480. I mean, it's, unless you have an insane arm, pro arm, there's no way you're getting this in 2. Like I said, I would have had a putt, though my best throw. I got right to that lamp right by the sidewalk, and even that's still a really long putt. So from here, pretty happy with just getting out into this open space. We have 2 options. I'm actually going to go bird. I was going to forehand the Zone OS, but in this case, I'm just going to go bird straight at it. I can keep it low and basically just kind of scoot it right up to it. I think, all right, a little long. I actually hope I have a look. I mean, I think it's clearer on that backside of it, but my depth perception's kind of bad right now. I don't know if how long that actually is. That was a kind of a laser beam at it. Oh man, I'm probably circle 2 actually. That's not a very good upshot. Or maybe edge a circle. It's not too bad. Not committing, because every time I commit, lately I'm pulling it right. I just don't know what is up with my putt timing right now. It is pretty terrible. All right, got 302 and 368. 368 is a shared position with, I think, hole 5. Right now it's in 302, which is kind of straight, slightly to the right here, between these box and the outhouse here. It's underneath these pines. It's in the middle of that pine grove. So pretty hard to hyzer in. There's a lot of stuff in the way. If you have a good forehand, the forehand play is much better here. I don't really have that good of a forehand yet. Still, I don't think I have that distance quite yet. So what we're gonna do is go for the turnover line here. I don't have the disc I was throwing at Lunacy, but this river should turn if I give it just a touch of anhyzer. So just a little bit of anhyzer, kind of aiming at that big tree, green, light green tree, and drift it in the right side here. That looks pretty good. Oh, I hit the very edge of the grass on the sidewalk and it kicked backwards instead of skipping forward. Man, that's kind of frustrating. That I thought I got that angle really good, and then it kind of dove. I think there's a little bit of a crosswind coming that kind of pushed it down a little bit. See the leaves rustling a little bit. And yeah, I think I would have gotten a pretty good skip if I just didn't hit the little lip of the grass on the sidewalk. If I would have been a few inches back, I probably would have got the big sidewalk flare, or a few inches forward and I probably would have skidded along the grass. All right, a long look though. No, that's so bad. My putting is just, maybe I should just putt with fairways. Even that just doesn't feel good, or at least not coming out of my hands right. I don't know. I just cannot seem to find it. And I'll putt okay and manage it, and then trying to adjust for it mid round, and I just completely lose confidence in my putting lately. And I had a chance for some really pretty epic rounds that I just blew because I couldn't get a 25, 30 footer. Just couldn't do it. This is hole 9. This is in a position I've never played in. I had to go find it. This is actually in, I think, D, which is 396. It's back right. Normally, it's always been in this A, which is 285 straight, and then I've seen it once or twice in B, which is left at 356. And normally, like a tournament play, these two trees will play as a double mando, and because the close position is right in the middle of that grove, right between the middle of these trees. But I'll have to kind of swing back here. I have to swing way over here to the left to see the back left position. I don't know if you can see it. It's right back there now. So that is a pretty challenging pin location. Although also in the tournaments, the sidewalk was and beyond was OB, whereas this is only playing river OB on the actual T sign. So we can kind of flex it. I think I'm gonna go back to this Vass. It's been kind of drifting nicely. My hope is just that it finishes. Try to get it low and at that far right evergreen. Hopefully it flips a little bit and then comes back at the very end. This is kind of a really tough shot. Okay. Didn't quite get the turn I wanted, but we went right up the middle through the double mando. I mean, probably not a birdie, but we'll take it. All right, so I'm walking up here from the left side. So looking back at the tee, there's the double mando. You can see him on the tee. Here's the middle pin. We kind of slid up, didn't really get as much of a slide as I'd hoped. So we're still kind of a ways away from this. Not really much here we can do. We'd probably just take the berg here and just kind of slide it up. A little safe play. Yeah. Getting past the initial line makes the approach fairly easy. Man, this is a hard birdie. Unless you really can sling one out over the water, but I don't know. It might be possible to get here with the hyzer. I'm not sure. It is a little bit open back here. Man, up close to the tee though, it feels really, really hard to get up into this airspace because those closer trees have really grown in. So I don't really know what the play is. Like I said, I think the play, what I was trying to do was flip through this tunnel here to the right. Occasionally in the tournaments, we'll have a basket, a hanging basket back in this big tree back here. And this becomes a par 4. So you almost play to like how I was, either in the middle of those trees and try to skip through, or try to get onto that left side so you can have a more open shot to get back here for the 3. I did 3 it one of the 2 times. The first one, second one, my My tee shot was a little short on the I was a little too deep in those trees to have a clean look. So I laid it up basically to where that basket is and then played up to here for the 4. But anyway, there's the quick Clark Centennial 9. It's pretty challenging, especially these current pin locations. I've never played it in these locations, so I'm glad I got out here. Pretty challenging, plus a lost disc on my first throw. I'm taking a mulligan on that one because I wasn't warmed up. But yeah, this is a kind of a fun, challenging layout right now. This will be pretty interesting how this will play come this weekend, especially if it's cold weather. Anyway, let's head over to Lou Miller and I'll show you that.